The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
Well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. And of course, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy. And of course, we are officially in the month of love. And, you know, this week on the show, I've been talking about love, but I've been talking about real love. You know, I believe that it's important to discuss real love because there's what you call commercial love, where we buy roses and we play on Instagram. And then there's real love. And real love, you know, some people say for a seed to grow, it must first die. And today we've extended a different type of tone. We're talking let's love, and of course ending gender-based violence within our communities. We do know that it is fast becoming a pandemic and currently an epidemic within our country. If we do not, and I've always said that we need to extend a policy that encourages healthy families, whether we like it or not. Our government is made up of families. Our communities, our decision makers are all part and parcel of families. And of course, I'm going to start with the beautiful lady in studio. We have Lorato Bridget Mpusu, who serves as the CEO of Botswana Christian Health and AIDS Intervention Program. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Happy Valentine. How was your Valentine?
Thank you. It was awesome.
It was good?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. And of course, we have Reverend Nkarabang,
That's right.
who's a faith-based organization leader. How are you, Muruti? And thank you so much for blessing my studio today.
Thank you so much, Swift. I'm mightily blessed of God, and I'm glad to be here this afternoon.
How was your Valentine, sir?
My Valentine was at the bush.
Yes?
So it was at the bush.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a farmer as well.
Okay.
You know, so I had gone out to check on those animals.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Look, I'm hoping that today we can have more of a panel discussion because, you know, I often find that you cannot leave out faith-based organizations out of the conversation around love, the conversation around ending gender-based violence.
Absolutely.
And whether we like it or not, dare I say it, including policy making, because whether we like it or not, Botswana has a strong faith culture. Whether you are from Islam or whatever, or Christianity, we have a strong faith culture, and it's part and parcel of the anatomy of the human spirit, in my personal opinion. We're all longing for something. But let me start with you, Reverend. What does a healthy love relationship look like? And I'd also like you to speak about it from the point of view of young people, because we're seeing a different kind of young person today who cannot necessarily go the distance when we speak about a healthy love relationship.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. A healthy love relationship, it's one that is fundamentally based on true love, real love, like we say.
Yes, sir.
And when we talk of real love and true love,
yes, sir,
we're talking about love that cares for the other person, whether it's male or female. Love that gives. You know, the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So it's a love that is able to go an extra mile, you know, to care, to nourish, and to look after the other person. You know, so God set us that example of that kind of love. That is a love that is giving. It's not a love that is all the time taken away from you.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a love that should nourish you and make you happy.
Fantastic. Lorato, let me ask you the same question in terms of what does a healthy love relationship look like?
Thank you so much. And that's a very important question because we are talking about an era where gender-based violence in Botswana is so rampant. And so it's so easy for people to confuse what love is. And so a healthy relationship is something that, like Muruti said, it has to be between the two people who have agreed and have the intention to fulfill one another, because we do have needs as people. And so you are bringing in a person in your private space to say, you can help me meet my needs. And so a healthy relationship, you are with someone who cares and shows concern about you, someone who can create time for you, or someone who even can hear you without you having to say anything. You know, someone who is so close to you and rejoices with you, someone who can cry with you. You know, that's when you say, I have arrived. I'm truly in love. And someone who prioritizes you, someone who can forgive you for the errors that you commit because you are human. You know, someone who's going to give you a chance. The Bible talks about love not storing mistakes. You know, someone who is going to be holding grudges against you, they don't love you. But someone who loves you, they're going to give you another chance to prove yourself that indeed you can do something. And someone who has your best interest at heart, someone who's not going to stop your dreams, or, you know, someone who's coming to really add value to your life. And that's when you can really say, I know I'm in love.
You know, I was in church yesterday, and we're part and parcel of a conference called the Love Train, and you are also engaging in some of these conversations, so you're bringing them to life. But let's talk about the younger generation. Let's talk about, you know, the concept of the wounded buffalo. You know, sometimes you were raised without that love. Sometimes, unfortunately, we have Banabarona. We're seeing a high levels of sexual molestation. And our girl child or our boy child are going to grow up and become adults. You know, some people don't know love to that extent. And from your vantage point, Muruti, have you seen those kind of incidents? And, you know, what's your take or your insights on those kind of situations?
No, you're absolutely right. As a pastor and as a counselor, I've come across cases where you can tell from this young person that they have lacked love all their lives, or for the greater part of their lives. And because we have been created to receive love, I mean, love is a beautiful default that should really be found in every one of us. You know, so from that default, they end up pursuing love in the wrong places. You know, they end up giving themselves in to what looks like love. You know, unbeknown to them, you'll find that they will end up in a very abusive relationship, one-side relationship, where the other party, you know, calls the shots. You know, so it's very important to understand love, and, you know, especially for young people, not to be coming from that place of need or desperation of love. But I don't blame them, because, like I mentioned, it's our default. We're looking for love.
Socialization. And of course, Loretta, let's talk about, obviously, I'd like you to answer the same question. And of course, I'd like to offer you a follow-up question in terms of red flags in a person. You know, I think sometimes, you know, there's always the argument about, is it time to introduce premarital counseling before young people get married? And, you know, there's also another argument to say sometimes we need to make these things compulsory. You know, a year before you get married, go through the system. It does not necessarily need to be faith-based. It can be a psychologist, a psychotherapist. Because Baba and we get married, renality trauma, and they say when your emotional needs are not met, the trauma speaks loud. Talk to me.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, I love what you're saying, because actually it's my desire that this thing becomes a policy, that before Mahadi Ansiwa, or before, you know, before you make any commitment to the person, people have to be in a platform where they can receive thorough counseling for childhood traumas, to be, you know, to be set out and to also be cleared. So for people to go through healing. Unfortunately, in Botswana, you know, it's like counseling is stigmatized. You don't have to have problems to go for counseling. Counseling provides an opportunity for you to learn, because people are in trouble today in toxic relationships just because, you know, they were excited by the money or pressure from parents, or maybe age. And so you end up in a marriage where you realize that I'm in a mess, but I have 4 children with this man. So what am I going to do? I can't leave him. I've invested with him my time, you know, and so it's hard for you. Then you decide to resort. You resort to live in that toxic relationship. And so talking about gender-based violence in Botswana, this is a serious concern, because it also happens to the young people. Young women, beautiful women at the university, you know, are getting violated in relationships, even young men, but they continue to stay. So it's almost like love has been redefined. People have now said, you know, if he beats me, it shows that he really loves me, because it shows that he is jealous. And that is not love. And so we are here to say we really want to encourage people to rethink of what love is. And so some of the red flags that we have to pick in every relationship as early as possible. If you are with someone who is going to isolate you, from the people who care about you. That's a red flag you need to watch for. And so a lot of abusers will isolate the person from people that care or people who can knock sense in your head. And so he will make sure that he cuts all those important connections from you. So if you find yourself in a relationship where the only person that matters to you is that person, you don't have any other relationship, you can call other people, you are so highly monitored, then that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Someone who blames you for everything. You know, a relationship has to be between two adults who can think for themselves, who can make decisions. But if someone is going to be making you carry the relationship, where you are carrying the burden of the relationship, you know, if you don't call, there is no relationship. If you don't SMS, there is no relationship. That's a big problem. Someone who is going to be putting moralo or the whole burden on you. Someone who is very selfish. You don't want to be around someone who is so egocentric, self-centered. Everything is about them. You have to, that's a serious red flag. And you can't settle for that in a love relationship.
Let me bring you into this conversation, Moruti.
Oh, yeah.
The faith-based language.
Yeah.
There's a topic that God hates divorce.
Yeah.
You were seeing within the church that we promote marriage, which is a good union and a good institution.
Yeah.
However, we are also seeing in the faith, in the church,
True.
young people getting married at a younger age.
Yeah.
Right? Because obviously we have made this institution as, you know, obviously a goal in terms of our Christian faith. What happens when, in your experience, when one young couple get married, and year 3 now, they're falling into cycles of gender-based violence, cycles of something very toxic. And obviously, from your standpoint, it's not like our faith-based leaders are going to preach divorce.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But what happens if you meet these kind of challenges where a couple is like, okay, my faith is speaking about, you know, we obviously repelling divorce, and I'm in this kind of situation.
Okay, all right. That's a very interesting question that you've asked, and maybe a pretty controversial one, so to speak.
Absolutely.
In the sense that I'm going to give you my honest opinion, you know, based on the Word of God, of course. And first and foremost, I think we need to promote premarital counseling, because a lot of these divorces that we see, in my experience, one of the common statements that I would usually hear from the counseling rooms would be, Muruti, we wish we had met you earlier.
Yes.
And maybe we wouldn't have gotten to where we are. I've seen couples that, you know, were divorcing and I felt they shouldn't divorce. I believed that, you know, their troubles and their issues were solvable, but they've had too much trouble, enough for them to say no. I mean, it can't work. It's not redeemable at all. But of course, let's face it. There are cases whereby divorce, as much as God hates it, you know, seems like the best solution, especially where, you know, there is threat to life that is involved.
Yes.
Especially where there is adultery that is involved.
Yes.
Actually, as a matter of fact, one of the qualifications for divorce from scripture, biblically, it's adultery.
Yes.
You know, and I want to believe that even where your life is in danger, I mean, really, we must maybe come, if anything, to the conclusion that, was God ever involved in the first place? You know, in such instances. So it's for the counselor, you know, to look at it, to decide. But as much as possible, we try to restore love in relationships. We try to restore health and relationships.
I like that. Well, on the other side of this, we're going to continue the conversation. Please feel free to be part and parcel of the conversation. If you have been an been part and parcel of a gender-based violence scenario or incident, please call us, or if you are uncomfortable speaking on radio, send us a WhatsApp on +267 395 6962. Look, we're not saying we have all the solution, but we're saying we need to dialogue around how we can come together to raise a better human being, a wholesome human being, a wholesome Botswana for the future generation. And of course, thank you so much for choosing Gabs FM. And listen up, towards the end of the Stars and Stripes radio show, we'll be giving away special prizes. All you have to do is go and be part and parcel of a survey, an ongoing survey that is available on our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page, kindly fill the survey, and then we'll open the phone lines at exactly 10 to 1 this afternoon. Good afternoon.
It's the Midday Fix Reloaded. You the best. You the best. Midday Radio at its best. Best I ever had. Best I ever had. The Midday Fix Reloaded.
Let's go.
It's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. Michael Jackson, he says it's time to heal the world. Whether we like it or not, we are all noticing that there's something going wrong in the world. And I just truly, truly believe that our human spirits are saying, you know what? We need a higher intervention. And what that intervention might be for you, I do respect everybody's faith. But I'm saying, we need to find that particular thing. Peace is something that you cannot buy. You can have all the money in the world, but without peace, my friend, you're just not happy. And we're seeing in today's society with suicide, we're seeing gender-based violence. I remember once I saw on Twitter in neighboring South Africa where a man had killed a person and slit his stomach open and took a selfie, a picture
with that.
And I was saying to somebody, I said, I don't care what you say or what you believe, but this is demonic.
Definitely.
You can say that you don't understand faith or spiritual matters, but for somebody to be that heartless, you can see that no, man. And the question is, what can the faith-based institution instill? There's also an argument that the minute that we took faith out of our schools, we're seeing a different character of human being. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's saying that you should preach Jesus or you should preach Muhammad or whatever faith, but faith-based systems can result in a better charactered human being. And that's all we're saying. Look, I do know that you guys, your program is coming to an end. Just let us know a little bit about your program and of course, its merits.
Okay. So, and also before I share about the program, I would love to mention that I work as a CEO for Bobo Cape.
Yes.
Because it's the reason why I'm here.
Absolutely.
The Botswana Christian Health and Intervention Program.
Yes.
Which is an amazing organization. This year I'm going to be 19 years with them.
Wow.
And so
that's 2 decades.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's an organization that was made to assist or augment government's effort in ending HIV in Botswana.
Wow.
It's amazing because we believe that we have transformed quite a number of people in the country. That is why now HIV is also going down.
Absolutely, and well done for that. That is and what I love about it is collaboration.
Yes.
It is how you are serving the government, Botswana, and of course collaborating with the U.S. government.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. And so now being the CEO of Bocape, then I entered a competition for African leaders.
Okay.
To be mentored or be taught by the U.S. system. And so I competed, and then I was nominated in 2022. Usually the program is done in America, but because of COVID-19, I did it virtually here in Botswana.
Okay.
And so we enrolled for 6 weeks. I learned about NGO management.
Lovely.
So as we were interacting with a lot of people from different countries, that's when I realized that, and that was the time when now GBV was really taking its toll in the country. Because, one thing that hurts Swift about the Botswana GBV is that it happens in the household, in the place where you're supposed to be the safest. People run to their houses, but then unfortunately that's where our GBV is found, and in intimate relationships. And that is why Muruthi is going to be talking about the quality of a love relationship in the country. And so the program is coming to an end. We trained 14 pastors, faith leaders.
Oh, wow.
Who went in different platforms, including prisons, because we know that there are perpetrators.
Yes.
And including khotlas and different places where Botswana are found. And it was just an amazing thing to hear how Botswana are so fed up about this pandemic, But at the same time, it happens in the evening in our houses. And so we had male community dialogues where men were talking their hearts out about what really causes them to become so violent in the country. And, to some extent, that is why we want to share the burden as men and women. We are not here to say men
Point
are
fingers.
perpetrators.
Yeah.
Women also have to sort themselves out and do things right so that we can have healthy relationships.
Oh, wow.
And so these faith leaders went out and counseled. They were working with the police and the district commissioners who referred couples to them. And so they provided education and also facilitated reconciliation, provided education on anger management and all sorts, conflict resolution, communication, effective communication within a love relationship.
Love it.
And so as we end, I just want to appreciate them a lot because we were not giving them any salary or anything. And so the U.S. government assisted, just, facilitated the transportation and communication funds and also, snacks but I want to appreciate these faith leaders because it was not a paying job, but they did it because they loved the people.
I think also we need to celebrate what I call unsung heroes, and I think on behalf of the Republic of Botswana, on behalf of your team, we just like to say thank you. That is an important component of building communities, and we tend to forget. We tend to forget you in budget speeches, even media. Dare I say, when we're doing our topics and creating and curating content, we dare forget that there are foot soldiers on the ground making a difference.
Absolutely, because they have a spiritual connection. They kind of see things before people see them. And so the pastors have great influence on people. And so we want them to be really supported. And I like what you are saying. I wish we could advocate for them. And, it's not like we are saying they should be paid salaries. Just facilitated to save our country.
Fantastic.
And so that's what we did.
Thank you so much. Moruti, let me give you this opportunity to just speak to the nation from your vantage point. You're a counselor. You serve relationships to a certain extent. And, whether we like it or not, in the intimacy of the counseling room, there are secrets that, are presented to you. So your advantage, the way you view relationships, the way you view gender-based violence is from an entirely different perspective than from SWIFT. So let me offer you this opportunity for about 5 minutes or so just to speak to us in terms of what can we do to improve, where does faith come into it, and how can we carry ourselves as the nation of Botswana?
All right. Before I do that, let me say that I was privileged to be part of the 14 pastors that Mampusu alluded to earlier. And yes, indeed, we went through that, training just to equip us also professionally on the basics of counseling. And for us, that's a big advantage because we now come in also with spiritual insight, like she mentioned. One of my arguments in also appreciating the combined efforts of the faith-based leaders and the government and other professions and other sectors, it's that, that's the way that we can deal with issues that are afflicting our communities. We need to have that multifaceted approach, to include everyone that can be a solution, to the problems that we are having. And that is for the simple reason that a human being, it's a triune being. He's made of, he is a spirit, he has a soul, and he lives in a body, and all these components that make up a human being must have specifics of addressing them. I'll just give a quick example before I jump into what you really asked me to. When you are sick in your body, you go to a doctor, they will diagnose you, they will give you medicine, they'll give you tablets.
Yes.
But when you are sick in your soul, that's a whole totally different ball game altogether.
Absolutely.
You know, no panado, no operation can heal a broken-hearted. You know, so there you need some level of counseling, level of some psychosocial support. You know, it even gets worse now when it elevates to the dimension of the spirit, where people will be saying, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing voices that nobody else hears. So that was just to appreciate the approach that we had in the program Yaha Mampusu. Back to what you asked me,
Yes.
I'm just going to refer to the scripture and say that what I believe is fundamental in dealing with the issues of GBV in our society is going back to the drawing board, going back to the Creator, going back to God. And I'm going to take the scriptures that, you know, God has given concerning marriage, and I want us to use that even for any relationship that, you know, young people could be in, you know, older people could be in, and even the marriage institution itself. From the scriptures, the definition of, or the spelling of love for a woman, it's love, it's L-O-V-E. We need to know that. And the spelling of love for a man is R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Yes.
Respect. You know, that's how man defines love.
Yes.
And that is scriptural, because from the book of Ephesians, I'll just paraphrase it, from the book of Ephesians chapter 5, one of the widely used scriptures for, you know, in weddings or in marriage counseling. It's husbands are commanded to love their wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse it by the washing of the water, by the word. You know, that's the definition of love for a woman. A woman has to be loved regardless.
Yes.
You know, the way Christ loved us as the church, it's a kind of love that elsewhere we read in the scriptures that I will build my church upon the rock, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So comparing a woman and the church is that we need to build love upon the rock, where the woman is secure, where in that relationship, in that marriage, where the woman feels protected, where the woman, you know, feels stable, where there's stability, there's safety against the gates of hell. And even including yourself, don't be a gate of hell against your spouse or against your partner, because Jesus built the church upon the rock.
Absolutely.
And that speaks of stability, that speaks of rest, that speaks of calmness.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the definition of love as Christ gave it. And on the other hand, you know, I like this one. Wives, they are exhorted or they are encouraged to submit to their husbands as to the Lord. And for the husband, it's the head of the wife. I know this is a widely abused and misinterpreted scriptures.
Yes.
Especially in our society where we are a patriarchal.
Yeah, yes.
But you know what I'm
right.
talking
Yeah.
about. Where it's a
Patriarchal,
male-dominated
Yes.
community. You know, so the thing that a man needs more is respect. You know, if you respect a man, chances are all will go well. If you love a woman the way Christ defines it. And we should understand love and respect or submission in the context of Christ.
Yeah.
Because it speaks of it does not speak of lordship. The headship does not mean my word is my word only. The headship does not mean you can't ask me where I come from. You know, that's not the kind of headship that is being spoken of. Headship does not mean abuse. Headship rather means love, protection, care, provision, and leading the family, leading the spouse, leading the partner to pastures green, to green pastures. Headship means exemplary and loving leadership.
Absolutely.
You know, not what we usually see here. But here's the great divide when I shift. Now, someone will be hearing this, and they will be saying, I will only respect him if he can love me enough. And on the flip side, the other person will be saying, I would only love her if she can respect me? So it seems like we are caught up now in a vicious circle of love and respect. But what I want to encourage us as we're coming close to this show is that may we all play our role. Let husbands love their wives or their partners the Christ way. And let women submit and respect their husbands or their pastor the right way. And let men be heads of the family and exercise their headship the proper Christian or Christ way.
Well, that is happy Valentine from me to you on behalf of the Midday Fix. And of course, we're going to continue conversation. Look, we may agree, we may disagree, but what we're trying to promote is a healthier homestead. Whether you know how to do it, or you believe you go to your psychotherapist, or you believe it from different, but as long as we're pushing the boat towards a healthy family home.
Absolutely.
On the other side of this, we're going to continue conversation. And of course, thank you to my guests. Thank you so much to the two of you. Thank you so much for the great work that you're doing. And I hope this is your first time on the Midday Fix Reloaded, but it's not your last time.
Certainly.
I would sincerely like to extend another invitation to the two of you just to discuss some of these matters and break them down. And, obviously encourage Botswana to be part and parcel. Thank you so much. And of course, remember, go to our Facebook page right now, and please be reminded that today we have special prizes to give away at the tail end of the show. I'm about to open up the phone lines, but all you got to do is go to our Gabs FM Facebook page, go to the link, and of course fill in our survey. Once you've filled in the survey, the terms and conditions allow you to be part and parcel of these goodies that I'll be giving away live on air. And thank you so much for being part and parcel of the show. Remember, collaboration is the way. Motho le motho kgomo resulted in the University of Botswana, and that value system is what we need to adopt today. And that is why the collaboration between the BW government and the American government means that we can collaborate and partner for a better tomorrow.
It's the midday, stretch it easy on the hype train.
It's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. So the phone lines are officially open. I'm going to ask you a question, and you have to reveal a promo code that is given to you via the survey that is currently ongoing on our Facebook page. And of course, all you have to do is call us on 395-6962 and stand a chance to win some goodies courtesy of the Stars and Stripes radio show. We've been ongoing for the past 12 months, and of course, this is our last month. We don't know what's happening in the month of March. We might continue, we may not, but we're hoping to continue. But of course, we would like to get your feedback in terms of the Stars and Stripes radio show. So call me on 395-6962, and of course, that is an important component of what we're doing. Feel free to be part and parcel of the show. And of course, all I'm going to ask you is a couple of questions, and that is about it. And of course, call us on 395-6962. I've only got 3 minutes, so all I'm going to do is sincerely ask you, go to our Facebook page. Of course, you will see a post about a survey in line with the Stars and Stripes radio show. And of course, this is where we're trying to understand and get some feedback from you. And of course, it says participate in the end of season listener experience survey with the America in Botswana, calling on America in Botswana, otherwise known as the Stars and Stripes radio show listeners, to participate in our end of season listener experience. We want to know how you feel about our program, what topics you'd like to see in the next season, and of course, engaging in your opinion. At the end of the day, when we develop and draft and curate content, it's about understanding what you would like. And remember, it's all about shared prosperity, shared health. So we're talking on a number of topics that include, cervical cancer, HIV and AIDS. We've talking to the American Business Council. We've talking about how we use music in civil society. We've talking about, a number of grants that are on offer by the U.S. Embassy, and of course, culture. So many different components, but it's so important that I sincerely encourage you to be part and parcel parcel of this particular survey, and call me on 395-6962 and to be part and parcel of the survey. And I'm sincerely hoping that we could get some of your feedback. Remember, the Stars and Stripes radio show is proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. And of course, the objective of this particular show is to highlight the bilateral relationship between the U.S. government and the BW government. And of course, speak on a number of issues that speak to you, the Botswana, and of course, interact both with Americans and of course, Botswana. Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, good afternoon.
The Stars and Stripes show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.